What is up, guys? King of Underworld here, back at you with another part of What If Deku Had the Powers of Swampthing, Part 7. Sorry for the lack of upload yesterday. I would come up with an excuse as to why, but I just kind of fell asleep and I was just a bit worn out, I guess, that day. Well, yesterday. So I just figured, hell, I had the day off today, so I just relaxed a bit. Then, yeah, I got a bit lazy again, so I put it off until later because I thought, who doesn't love double upload like one after the other, right? Right? That's what I said to myself anyway. But instead of covering my ass as to why I didn't do it, how about we just enjoy the new one? So, let's get right into it. Last part, Deku had decided to take an offer up from Kamui Woods, allowing him to learn and use his plants in a way he never thought of doing before. Using them as mobility, using them as, a long-range combat item again. Being thought of as just an extension not only of oneself but in one's environment, especially in one of which Deku has to be in. So, after training, they decide to go to Hosu, where the incident had occurred. Now, Deku, um, instead of him being attacked by all the Nomis, he decided to take them over, use them as his own puppets, and then turn them into his own little mini avatars, becoming just like him when he's encased around in his vines, except they're not as thick. Well, they're not as big, I should say. So, so you can tell when he goes into the form. He confronted Stain and took him down, and then, went on a bit of a date with Sue. So, this, let's get right into the new part. Well, Aizawa had come in and says, "Alright, people, I know we had some interesting experience in the last few days, few weeks actually, with the USJ and Sports Festival, and now the internships, and the whole Hosu incident that some of you might know as he looks around at people that were involved." And then he says, "Well, that's nothing compared to what you had to go up against." People are just waiting in anticipation as he slams down the book. Finals. As they kind of go, seriously? As he says, "What? Do you think this is easy because it's an academic and not a hero situation?" As Kaminari just bluntly says, "Well, yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be that hard, right?" As he stares him down, his eyes glowing, and says, "Everything is that easy, just leave. We don't make things that easy here. We prep heroes, and not chumps and wannabes like you. So, I think I think you best do some studying. Otherwise, you're going to be taking remedials over the camp." Wait, camp? Because everybody started peeking up when he heard camp. And it's like, well, after the finals, you'll be going on a hero training camp for about a week or two. We still haven't decided how many days, but we think it's going to be extended to 2 weeks. And Class 1B will be joining us in this. However, before any of you get any ideas of having any fun, this is for training only. And those of you, while staring Kaminari down like he's about to murder him, those who do not pass will be taking remedial classes after their training. No rest for the lazy. Kaminari just gulps loudly and says, "Anyway, you each will be taking a finals test as well as being assigned a pro hero to face off against, like you did in the Heroes vs. Villains exercise with All Might. However, instead of it being 2-on-2, it'll be 1-on-2. You'll be facing against a hero. That's up to luck to whichever has been assigned to. However, I cannot guarantee that we will go easy, nor will this be any easy time," while staring everybody down. As everybody just started going, well, I hope I don't get matched against All Might. God, we'd never win. As people just, well, started agreeing and just started talking, well, in between amongst themselves. And the stupid law of, when I start asking, Momo to help them study. As she points to, when she points over and is like, well, I'm happy to help, but there's somebody in the class just as smart as I am. Wait, who? Not Bakugo, hopefully. And he says, what was that? And said, nothing. And it's like, no, it wasn't Bakugo. It was Midoriya over there. Midoriya? Wait, how come I didn't hear anything about this? Because I didn't make a big deal out of it. I prefer to keep to myself with these kinds of things. Sue just says, yeah, he's quite smart. He's been teaching me this entire time. Sue, you traitor. I thought you were one of us. I was already quite smart before you guys. You just think I'm smarter because you don't seem to like the notion of studying. Really? As they can't exactly argue with her. She makes a valid point. So, excuse the shuffling. So they all said, well, would you mind helping us? And says, I don't mind. We can just go over to. I don't exactly have the studying space for it. After all, my family's house is mainly for gardening. Oh, do you have to grow your own food? And says, no, we got the factories for that. I'm more talking about we just have our own garden. Says, well, somebody stops and says, wait, you say you already have your own factories? As, well, Momo says, actually, his family's richer than mine. As he said, saying, how much? Well, I'm pretty sure they can just buy my industry straight out. As their jaws drop to the floor and says, what? How come I never heard of this? No heard of, well, not heard of Deku's family. Because they use a different product name. And actually, they do actually use their own family name on there. It's just under a different seal. See, the Midoriya Incorporated Group. It's been run by their family for generations. It's the biggest in Japan, and it's worldwide. As they look over and says, you never told us? Says, I didn't really think it was important. As they're all just quite shocked. And it's like, that means you must have a mansion, right? And it's like, no, just a normal house. And says, even Sue can tell you. Yeah, it's quite normal compared to how rich he is. Trust me, I was quite shocked, and so was my family. As they just didn't know. And it says, well, I don't mind helping them. Momo, would you help, well, the accommodation, because I know your house is much larger than mine. Um, then Momo just asks, but how do you know that? I don't think I ever invited you over to my house. He says, well, my family was going to buy that house when it was on the property market. However, yours bought it before we could get our hands on it. And she said, oh, that's how. We were going to buy another one, however, we thought just getting into a simple townhouse would do. It says, okay, well, I don't mind having everybody over at my house. We can make a good, well, little fun friend thing. And it says, I don't mind, but just try not to be too distracting. So what do you mean by that? Well, everybody will be entranced by a mansion. I guess that is true. As well, they eventually get all over to Momo's house. They're flabbergasted as he says, hey, we're here to study, not play. He says, right, you do realize you're quite intimidating. And he says, well, I came here to help you, and if you're not willing to accept the help, me and Sue can just, we can just leave. He says, yeah, no, you can't dictate what Sue does. Like, I'm not dictating, she'll just follow me. How do you know that? I thought you guys already knew that we were a couple. As Netta obviously knew because, well, Netta obviously knew in the class. However, and he was actually very spiteful of the fact that Deku had gotten a girlfriend. However, the others didn't too openly know. No, too openly. People like Momo found out because, well, they were sitting in the gardens together. They were actually owned by Deku's family. So they were quite shocked and says, "How long has this been going on?" Sue just asked, "Well, what's the date today? About 3 months? And you never told us, correct?" Man, why? Why were you friends? I was like, and that means something? What? You know, your friends don't tell each other everything, especially when it's just our privacy. And says, well, enough chit chat. As much as I'd like to go in through the intricacies of my late relationship, I think we're actually meant to be studying. As he knocks on the door and says, Momo, it's us. Would you mind opening the gates? Says, yes, just a minute. Walk up through. And so, as Deku starts just leading the group up, as I say, how do you know where to go? The plants tell me. What do you mean, plants tell you? See the little rose bushes alongside the pathway? Yeah? Well, another 200 meters, we'll reach the entrance of the house. 200 meters? Come on. Quit yapping, more walking. As they finally get up and they start they start getting ready to study as they help each other out. As with Deku there, it's even better to try and help him. So people like Hamanari are still dumb, but they at least know that they're going to pass the test. It's whether or not they pass. It's whether or not they pass the actual practical part of it. As that day rolls around, as they start doing the test, and everybody that studied with them passed, as they were doing quite well. And then eventually got to the portion of the practical, as the teacher that Deku was fighting was Cementos. You thought I was going to say All Might, didn't you? And he was matched up with Sue, which was perfect for him. So well, instead of so soon took Yami fighting ectoplasm, it'll be Sato and Kirishima versus ectoplasm, and Tokiyami helps Bakugo. And I'll say the rest goes as in canon, however, this match will be a bit of a different one. So, they get into the arena as, well, Suda says, what's the game plan? I'll create an opening to try and, well, you worry about trying to get to the goal, I'll create an opening for you. Are you sure you'll be alright? I'll be fine, however, you need to just be careful. He can twist and mold the buildings in this area to his liking. After all, that is his quirk. I can focus on that. Says, how are you gonna do that? And says, well, nature fights back against man-made objects. And I guess we are the two opposing forces. Him being the modern age, and I being the age of the plants. As it says, alright, as the buzzer starts going up, Cementos walks within view of the two, as he unleashes powerful waves of concrete, like little mudslides at them, as he creates a row of vines and brambles to split it down the middle as it pours around. As he shouts, "You're gonna do better than that, Cementos! After all, plants like mine can just split your concrete in half." and says, I wouldn't be too sure about that. We'll see which one trumps which. As he starts throwing, well, cement spikes at Deku as he's, well, Deku grabs, well, forms the vines around him as he catches the spike before it hits him and uses it as a weapon to smack down the others that followed it. And says, you now face the Avatar of the Green. I shall split this modern age in two and cut you down. As says, so use it as an opportunity. When I attack, you run for it. Says, right. Says, well, I'll use my camouflage to keep him out. Well, keep his eyes off me. Now go. As he says, rumbling vines. As he grows, well, two massive tendrils of sharp, thorny spikes that whips across the ground. That, well, when it hits the ground, it causes a very large, well, almost a minor earthquake. As it tremors throughout the ground, well, as it misses Mentos and says, the attack is impressive, however, it is too large to hit something my size. And says, who says I was trying to hit you? I just set up a trap for you. As he starts growing the vines, well, from where the vines had hit, the spikes had gone into the ground as they dropped little seeds into them. As Deku uses the vines, he starts growing out a vine underground as he connects to all of them. As it says, fast-paced growth. Redwood Brigade. As a ring of redwoods surrounds Cementos, and it says, I like it. You can freely grow and manipulate these things to your will, trapping me in a cage of something sturdier than most steel objects. It's good and all, however, I can pry these bars open. As he starts shifting and distorting the angle of which they were sitting by using the cement around them, forcing more in between some of them as he just hops through and says, now what are you going to do now that your prison bars can't hold me anymore, Izuku Midoriya? And says, those bars were never to hold you, but to buy some time. And says, wait, where's Asui? Says, don't worry about her, sir. She is already far gone. Now focus on me, otherwise you might end up hurt. As he throws two seed clusters that get right up close to Cementos, as he's like, not those things! As he throws up a quick wall of cement, as they explode and send needles through his little shield. Said, as it makes contact with his skin, however, since his skin is made of cement, it didn't pierce, as there wasn't enough force. So that was close. As he notices that, well, says, He notices that one of the ones that did pierce through the shield, but he didn't notice as it didn't pierce his skin. He looks down and feels something wrapping around it. As a vine starts growing out from the little thorn, starts wrapping around his leg. It's like, damn it, no! As he tries to cut it off, however, it seems that it just keeps wrapping around and multiplying. As it starts binding up, and as Deku walks over. He makes it to where Cementos is as he's still trying to fight the plants off that is growing around his body like a parasite. Says, I wouldn't fight against it. You see, plants fight and break through concrete like it's their own plaything. A simple weed. is enough to crack your skin. So, don't resist. Otherwise, you'll fall to pieces. Like this fragile stone world. As Smentos just says, alright, you got me. I give up. As sirens blare out as, well, they had won. They had taken down Cementos. Sue was just at the goal at this point and says, "Oh man, you took him down before I could get here." Ribbit. And well, Sue just apologizes. "I'm sorry I couldn't have been more of a help." Says, "No, it is fine. His cloak is not really suited for well, you're more suited for close range combat, whereas he could keep you at distance. It was just an unfavorable matchup that I could only deal with. If I couldn't have dealt with him, you would have been at the goal anyway. I kept a little plant on you just to know where you were at all times." As, well, he, the two had just hugged as he, came out of the little avatar and says, "That was a bit draining. The plants will heal me up later. Well, they'll give me more energy." As the two hugged and said, "Oh, you did a good job, but I didn't do anything. You were there, and that's all I needed." "Okay, but next time I will help you for sure." Next time. Next time. As well, everybody gets their results back as, well, they all passed except for the people that lost against teachers, as they would be taking extra training regimens throughout the training camp. So, and I'd say Buck has to be one of these people. Let's take the extra things because, well, he gets his shit beaten in by All Might without Deku though. And Tokiyami, he wouldn't exactly help. So, they decide to get ready for their entire camp as they start going out to the shopping as, well, Deku just doesn't see the point in this. However, Sue just asked him to come as we thought it'd be a nice thing. As then they had, they had a bit of a class field trip of sorts. How this was in their own free time on the weekend. As they start going around to the shopping center, grabbing what they needed, such as like extra shirts, some training gear, and some pesticides. As well, Deku just says there is no need to buy pesticides. Says why not? But the bugs. And it's like the bugs are natural, and I can lead them away. I well, bugs feed on plants and are part of the natural order. To disturb this order is to disturb the plants. Says, alright, but you have to take care of them. Says, it doesn't matter either way. Do not harm the environment. It's like, you're a big green guy, aren't you? Literally or metaphorically? Literally in two senses now I think about it. And, well, uh, it was Sue and, Sue and Deku were just walking around together as well. As, well, they were waiting for the people in the shops, as they didn't need to grab anything from this particular store. As they were just holding hands outside of it. As, well, Deku notices a store nearby. It was a jewelry store. As something caught his eye. And so, as he, he'd gone inside of it and says, "Wait for me here. I need to go have a look at something." It says, "What are you buying?" It says, "I need to buy a gift." Alright. As she walks in, as he walks inside and asks the clerk for the item that he mentioned. He walks back out a little box and just hands it to Sue. And like, wait, for me? I thought you were getting it for your mum or something. Says, nah, she doesn't really care for that kind of thing. But I thought this was more fitting for you. As, well, she opened it and it was a beautiful sapphire flower. As, well, she was just too entranced by its beauty and says, it's beautiful. But I can't accept this. It's too much. Says, it doesn't matter. I'm sure it would have cost a lot. It doesn't matter. And says, but, as he calms her down and goes over the shoulders and says, see, Asui, it doesn't matter. It's just money. That thing will last a lot longer than that money will ever do for me. Don't worry about the cost. It's basically my pocket change. I rarely even spend this much money. So it doesn't really matter. And I wanted you to have it because you're more precious to me than any money in this world. I bought that just so you can have a reminder of it every day. As he takes out the box and wraps it around her neck, as it says, there, it's very beautiful, just like you. As they, well, as he goes in for a kiss, and, well, she returns the kiss. As when, after they come out of it, they notice as he says, how long are you guys just gonna stand there? As the rest of the club, most the people that he was waiting for outside for in the shops, started coming around the corner and says, I don't want to interrupt the touching moment. As the girls in that were blushing, and says, well, sorry about that, sir. That might have been a bit embarrassing. As she was red, but she said, I, I didn't mind. As, well, Kirishima comes up and is like, way to go, man. That was quite manly. Well, he says, well, thank you, but why were you guys watching in the first place? Well, we came out of the store and noticed you weren't there, so we went to try and look for you, and we saw that as we were gonna say hello. However, you started going for the kiss, so we thought it was best not to interrupt the moment. Well, I do thank you for that. Next time, don't just stand there and watch. It says, well, that we will make sure not to. As basically, blood is coming out of Minetta's mouth as he's just absolutely jealous, and basically is cursing them to hell. Then, well, then they get everything they're ready for as they pack up and then head out to, well, the next day they start to head out to the training camp. As they're on the bus, they're talking and they're going along. As all of a sudden the bus stops as someone tells everybody to get out. As they get out and there's a team of 4 people. As well, they introduce themselves as the Wild Wild Pussycats. As they form a pose and says, "My name is Mandalay. I'm Ragdoll. My name's Pixie Bob. And I'm Tiger. And we are the Wild Wild Pussycats." As they pose up and everybody just claps a little bit, as it says, "So, Racerhead, how long do you think it'll take 'em?" As it says, well, knowing this class, probably take 'em until sunset. As well, they ask him, what is he talking about? How long will it take you to get to there? As he points at the training camp, it's like, but aren't we going by bus? It shouldn't be that long. And says, well, about that. As Pixie Bob, well, says out loud, you're going to be going through the Beast Forest. As, as they start thinking it as a joke and just start heading towards the bus as well, Deku notices first as he starts feeling the ground move below him as he, well, picks up Sue and jumps over the railing using a vine whip to hook onto the tree. As then the ground starts collapsing as she says, good luck! As, well, they land down and everybody's, eventually thrown, down there. Everybody, starts thinking, ow, ow. Is everybody alright? No injuries? Says, yeah, but you reacted beforehand. Couldn't you have given us a heads up? By the time I would have told you all, I wouldn't have got to Sue in time. Very honorable, at least. Super manly, bro. But, ow. Says, we're not in here alone. What do you mean? Is there villains? No, they're not human. They're constructs. Constructs? She called this the Beast Forest, and her power is able to manipulate the earth. So I reckon she's got little golems set up. And from what I can tell, they're quite large, about 10 meters in height, weigh about 200 kilos. No, 400. So how can you tell? Well, the earth around her has got moss covering it, and I asked it for information. It gives me at least the dimensions of most of them. As he says, well, here's one right now. As it busts down one of the trees, and then roars towards the group. As it says, "You harmed a tree!" As he throws his fist forward, as he creates a spike of mixture of woods and thorns. As he punches through the golem's chest, as it collapses down, it's like, "You do not harm trees in my presence." It's like, you guys just follow me. I've got a vengeance against all of these things. As he starts running forward at breakneck speeds, the only people that are able to keep up with him are Sue and Ida, as well as Bakugo, but he's trying to save himself the energy, as he's smart enough to do that. As the rest of them are just trying to keep up at the moment. As a lot of the big things start chasing everybody around. As Deku goes through each of them one by one, swinging, or tying them up, crushing them, and then throwing them down to the ground. As he would also throw some seed bombs at one of them into its mouth, causing its head to explode as thorns whip out to the other two that were surrounding it. As the thorns gauge in, he grows them out, and the beasts crumble. Everybody is running behind him as he's going for a straight beeline towards the well, towards the area that he needs, towards the camp. He just absolutely demolishes every single beast in his wake, as he's basically in a bit of a rage or a bit of a frenzy at the moment. As the biggest beast so far they had encountered that looked like a gorilla stood before him, as it started swinging down, as the trees around him caught it as it started wrapping. They started wrapping their trunk. They started wrapping the trunk around its legs and branches. As it was being held down, it it threw put it. He punched a hole and threw a seed bomb into his chest, and then threw vines around its head. As he set the vines to explode, as its head popped off and the seed bombs that were planted in its chest exploded. As the beast just fell to the ground into a pile of dirt. As then they continued running for another 5 minutes and at the campsite. as everybody was, well, not even worn down one bit. As he emerged with the rest of the group as the Bomber Pussycats and Azal was already there. As Pixie Bob says, "Wow, you guys got through there fast. Looks like you're wrong, Aizawa." "I was only wrong 'cause you did one thing wrong." Said, "What was that?" "You're about to find out." As Izuku started walking towards him, like, "Oh, look at you. Aren't you a good specimen? I might have to make you one of my own. Why have to claim you as mine?" As he says, "No thanks, I'm already taken, but shut up." He says, "Oh, scary." And says, "Wait, you shouldn't yell at me like that." It's like, you broke one of the trees." "Oh, did it nearly hurt someone?" "No, you broke one of the trees." It says, "I don't see the problem." "You harmed a tree, a plant, a living thing. It had its own sort of purpose. You broke it without any disregard by vicious monsters. They dare harm this forest and what animals call at home. You are no better than some vile villain." As well, the other pussycats are just starting uh going up, as well as Tyrant says. "Isn't this a bit much for one tree?" Says, "One tree? I don't care if it was one tree or 1,000. She committed a sin." "Look, kid, it's just one tree. It's more like it matters." And says, "You just shouldn't have said that." As Zawa starts running up, it's like, "No, don't do it." As he punches Tiger, as well, Tiger didn't seem to block because he just thought it was. If you're looking at him, he was built, but he wasn't anything special. As he punched Tiger, he sent him flying and into a building. As they were just shocked, and it's like, as well as Tiger, and he just got up and says, "Ah, what the hell was that? That kid hit me with more force than I thought he had. Hell, not even most super strength quirk users have that kind of power." As it's like, "That's the power of the green. Now apologize." As Pixie Bob just rushed in front of Tiger and says, I'm sorry. Just, please, calm down." As Azara restrains him and says, "They've apologized and they understand what they did wrong. Now don't harm them." As he says, "I'm sorry for getting angry, but it's just something I couldn't overlook." As Sue just comes around and hugs him and tells him everything's it's alright. As well, then, well, Kona sees this and is kind of scared by him, so he doesn't actually try anything with Deku. However, he does try it with Kaminari, as he gets punched in the nuts, which is everybody laughs because it's the funniest thing he's going to do in his whole career. So they start doing the training as well. There was nothing, well, not really any training that he could do, as he couldn't really think of anything, as his quirk's been refined to a point of absolute mastery. Ever since he awakened it, he knew how to control it. He, like, they speak to him, they tell him what to do. As he basically just sits there meditating amongst all of the trees, as he's just learning to basically communicate amongst them as if they were his own, and even observe other people are doing, as he's trying to see what Sue's doing, as she's just doing some strength training, as well as learning to further further push her abilities into making a combination attack. As well, she was learning to make her invisibility even better, as it was already good, however, it was nothing to write home about. Seeing as she couldn't seeing as she couldn't completely turn invisible like Hagakure, she was learning to adapt to the environment more quickly as to counteract this. And she was also learning on, well, secreting the poison. As, well, he started observing others, as this just repeats the next week. As there's also Class 1B out there training. As well, he's talking with Ibarra and, and helping her train instead of doing anything else, really, because he had nothing else to do. And says, "Dear brother, what have you been doing this past few days exactly besides just sitting out here? Sitting out here is what I need, Ibarra. So if there's anything else for me I can learn." And says, "That's quite negligible. You you say that there's nothing to learn. However, it's your mind that needs to learn. You need to expand your thoughts, horizons." As Deku just starts laughing, it's like, "Did I say something funny?" Says, "Well, you didn't say anything funny, however, the meaning behind it was funny." "What meaning? What was there behind the meaning?" Says, "You told me to expand my horizons and what I should learn. However, you seem to be wholeheartedly devout to the Lord." Says, "But but all answers lead back to thy Lord. Sorry, I don't see what the problem is." Says, "Nothing. Anyway, let's get back to the training." As on the final night, well, they were all they were all asked to do something fun. As people in remedial from both Class 1A and Class 1B were just sitting in the and unable to participate. Teachers were overlooking them as the Wild Pussycats were overseeing this little fun thing. As well, Deku and Sue were put in a group and, well, went into the forest. As the test of courage goes along, they try and scare him. As they didn't scare him, but they did scare Sue a few times. As well, they were just walking along, as she was just clinging to his arm. He says, "It sure is quiet out here." And says, "Yeah." As then something catches his attention. It's like, what the hell? Screaming. Wait, what screaming? I can't hear anything. Not human. Wait, do you mean the plants? There's something screaming out in pain. As they start running towards us, they see Darby setting the forest on fire. As he's turning some of the trees engulfed in azure blue flames. As Deku starts getting enraged, and anger starts swelling inside of him. As he says, "Sue, stand back." As the violence starts encasing his body, as Darby's looking at him, says, "Huh, well, looks like I get to have some fun after all. However, you're not the one I want to see. Where is Todoroki?" Well, Sue steps backwards and Deku just says as well, "Before you leave this area, go and tell the heroes that villains are attacking." And says, "Are you sure you'll be alright? He's got fire. Quite strong one at that. I can feel the heat from here." Says, "Don't worry, Asui. He is nothing." As she jumps away and starts using the trees to advantage as she goes invisible to get through without any incident, so she doesn't know where anybody else is. As Darby starts looking, quite cocky of me, kid. Let me ask again. Where is Shoto Todoroki? I've got business with him. It says, you shall not be well, it's quite unfortunate. You will not be able to see him. Oh? Why is that? As vines start crawling around Deku's body, as they start getting into its absolute peak, as he's losing himself into a blind rage. It's like, you harm the green! You shall pay reprimand with your blood! As, well, the vine sentry starts shaking around him, as it says, oh, scary, big guy. However, you're just a mere plant. I'll burn you down into ashes. As, Darby starts releasing a blue flame. As he starts firing towards Deku, as he puts his ultimate barrier. As it is being charred a lot worse than when Todoroki started using his fire against it. However, it's still holding. As he adds a layer of the explosive tree clusters. As they fire out as Dabi tries to hit them again with his blue flames, turning them to ashes. However, one was delayed. As he let down his guard, well, the spikes and spines that flew out of it hit him in his chest, his arm, and his leg as it starts feeling numb. It says, what is this? Why can't I feel my arm? It says, you'll not have to worry about your arm anymore. You've signed your own death. It's like, dream on, you fucking weed. As he starts raising his hand up to try and shoot a fire as, Deku just grabs it and breaks it. As vines start wrapping around his arms Darby starts screaming, what are you doing, you monster? I am no monster. I am the necessary evil for the planet. And I shall destroy you. As the vines start encasing around Darby's arms, they start going under his skin. As they crawl up as under the skin, you can see them crawling up and into his body. As he starts coughing up blood, he starts convulsing violently. As out of his eyes, ears, nose and mouth, vines start appearing as it wraps around his whole body. As then they start lifting him up from the ground. As Deku says, you are to be crucified of your crimes. Now perish in the azure flames of which you took the lives of many. Your own hubris at fault. As he threw his body into the blazing inferno, as he cut off as Darby's body withers away in the fire. Deku decides to quote on this fire, as he's knocking down every tree he possibly can, or moving its roots away, as to not harm them. He's creating a big enough distance and using his own perfect defense against the fire to ward them off, as he's repelling the flame backwards. And after doing this, instead, as he starts walking around, still in his enraged form, he encounters a man with a mask. He says, "Hey kid." Well, you're not a kid, are you? What the hell are you? Anyway, Where's Katsuki Bakugo? I'm kinda looking for directions. And you don't look like one of us, nor do you look like one of the students. So, who are you? It says, yet another one destined to die. As, well, he says, what was that, punk? As, well, then he starts growing to his muscular form and says, it doesn't matter. I just want a good fight. As, well, it says, now come on, face me! As Muscular launches towards Deku as he throws two powerful punches towards his way. And, well, to the surprise of Muscular, Deku just caught both of them. He does that and slams him into the ground a few times, just like a little flail. It says, you're quite strong for what you look like. Oh, this will be interesting for sure. It says, I do not have time to waste with the likes of you. It says, oh, I'm just getting started, as he expands into the form he used against Deku in the original anime. The muscle fibers are, well, so large it looks like it's engulfing him. It says, try and take a hit from this. As, well, he does punch Deku as it causes his arm to fly back. It says, you're a lot stronger. However, he starts wrapping little leaves around, around Muscular. It says, do you think your pathetic little plants are going to help you? It says, now burn. As the leaves start growing their hypodermic needles. As he starts screaming out in pain, what the fuck? As he starts, well, screaming around in pain. As it's like, it hurts! It hurts! What the hell did you do to me? It fucking hurts! As, well, Deku explains, this is the Gimpy Gimpy leaf. The very plant you made fun of, causing you to writhe around in incredible pain. Now say good night. As Deku just stands in front of him, Muscular's crying out in pain, as he delivers, well, he delivers a powerful strike, knocking Muscular out as he starts dragging him along back to the camp. As he's doing this, he is, well, running towards, where everybody else is, all the heroes. As Sue is there with them as well. However, she's caught up in the fight against Spinner, Magna, and, well, just those two, as well as a clone of Twice. As he throws Muscular right through the clone as it explodes into a pile of mud. Then he says, now which one wants to fight the green? As his eyes are now glowing red to a devilish scarlet. And this is where I'm going to leave off part 7 of What If Deku Had the Power of the Swamp Thing. I hope you guys very much enjoyed this episode. Again, this is going to be a double upload tonight. And there's a series I've been really wanting to try and make. There's one series I really want to try making, and that is what if Deku had the powers of Akari, Akari from Terraformers. Whoever hasn't watched that series, it is absolutely fucking amazing. It's very gory, yes, but it is very amazing for the fact that it's just so cool in an aspect, because people get the powers of, obviously, animals and insects, and I just find that really cool, personally. Been obsessed with it for the past 2 days, and I really want to make a what if of from Akari Hizumaru, and yeah, just my own personal thing. But anyway, let me know how this part goes. I hope you all love it. Yeah, but for now, that's all, folks. I'm the King of Underworld. Have a good one.